AITAH for upsetting my friend because I walked out of a dinner after she implied I'm a stupid American. I, 30F, have been living as an expat in Austria for nearly 8 years. I was born and raised in the States, and my mom is American and my dad is a British native who moved to the US in his 20s when my parents married. While I am very American in many aspects, there are also many British cultural influencing my behavior and mannerisms that sometimes confuse people. I have grown up traveling. Because it was important to my parents I experience more than just the American perspective and way of life, so I am very aware of the stereotypes surrounding Americans tending to be ignorant of other cultures, countries, geography, etc. Last night, my husband, 35 meters, Austrian, and I went to dinner with one of my closest friends, Sarah, 32F, and her husband. Sarah is also an expat from Costa Rica and married to a Swiss man. Sarah and her husband live just over the border in Switzerland, about 25 minutes from us. Our friendship has been so important and we have bonded over our faith, and being women of color living in predominantly white European countries. At dinner, Sarah's husband stepped away to use the bathroom and she and I and my husband started talking about the musician who was inlaying nearby. My husband saw the musician's computer and noticed a sticker on it that looked like the Texas state flag, so he asked me about it. I said it looked like it, but I wasn't 100% sure because I'm not from Texas. However, I doubted it because the man clearly had an accent and didn't sound American to me, but you never know with how diverse the US is. Sarah turned and said she thought it was actually the flag from Chile, so we looked it up and she was correct. The conversation then turned to how similar the Texas state flag and Chilean flag are. Here's where things go sideways. I started talking about the proximity of Texas to Latin and South American. I clarified that I know they aren't next to each other because I am very aware of the stereotypes that Americans don't know their geography. Sarah cut me off mid-sentence and said, "That's very American of you to say." While she and my husband both laughed at me, I was visibly very hurt and told her that I wasn't trying to insinuate that the two were nearby. I started again to explain that with Texas touching Mexico and being in proximity to different Latin American countries, there are definitely influences in the US from Latin and South American countries because we have so many immigrants and expats from there who bring their culture with them. She once again cut me off the moment I said Mexico and told me that Chile and Mexico aren't the same country and that Chile is in the southern hemisphere in South America. Her condescending tone and words made me angry, and I told her I was aware where Chile is and that I had been there many times. On top of traveling as a child, I also worked as an international flight attendant who primarily worked trips to Latin and South America. I have traveled to a total of 52 countries. She and my husband continued to laugh at me, so I stopped trying to explain and just sat there. After a few minutes I decided to leave my portion of the bill on the table and I decided to walk back to where we were staying, which was about a 10 minutes walk from the restaurant. I had started to cry and didn't feel like having an emotional breakdown in public. We had already finished eating and had been waiting for the bill anyway. My husband came up behind me and tried to explain that Sarah didn't mean anything by it and they didn't think I was stupid. I told my husband not to defend her behavior and also told him that it was rude and hurtful to laugh at me because he and I had many conversations in the past about how difficult it is to live in Europe, with many Europeans thinking I must be uneducated or ignorant because I am American. 10 minutes later, Sarah came to our room to talk. She started right away with how hurtful I was being. She said, "This is stupid and not worth it. Do you really want to have this fight?" I told her not to speak down to me and reminded her that I wasn't trying to have a fight but had chosen to remove myself from the situation because I was emotional and didn't want to say something I would regret. She said I really hurt her and made her cry. I asked her how I was the one at fault when she was the one who cut me off and hadn't even let me say what I was trying to. That she instead insinuated that I was stupid. She said that Americans often treat all Spanish-speaking countries as the same, and as a Latina, she was just trying to educate me. I pointed out once again that she didn't even know what I was going to say because she never gave me the opportunity to speak before judging me. I then told her I was trying to say that because the US has adopted, stolen cultural influences from other Latin and South American countries, I wouldn't be surprised if the Texas flag was also inspired by the flag from Chile. She said she understood and she didn't realize that was what I was trying to say. I also explained that this wasn't the first time she had made that remark of it being very American of me, and that I was fully aware that that comment is meant to speak to the stereotypical ignorance of Americans. She argued back that 9 out of 10 Americans are ignorant and I was the 10th and she didn't think I was stupid. I told her I appreciated that, but she still directs the comment to me fairly often, and it is disparaging and therefore hurtful. She then started telling me again how I had no idea how much I hurt her and that this was stupid and not worth fighting over. I also explained that even though she has good intentions, at times she makes me feel like I'm not capable. She will sometimes try to translate for me, even though we both speak German. This is something I have also brought up to her in the past. This, mixed with her comments of me being very American, are hurtful and feel like she doesn't think I'm educated or integrated enough, even though the country I live in requires me to pass extensive German tests to retain my residency. In the end, we both apologized and said good night, but something still feels off to me. I am confused by how I am also at fault here and why I was expected to apologize as well. I have come to the realization the past 5 years that as a woman of color, I am often put in situations where I am apologizing or needing to comfort the person who said disparaging things to me. I have tried my best to stop doing that and to hold others accountable for what they say and to communicate that intentions don't erase or excuse the impact of hurtful words or behavior. So, am I the asshole?